All right. So these are the two different argumentative styles that we've talked about. At the top of your sheet of paper, you're writing IDEARS and then SHIPS. This, Idears, is persuasive. SHIPS, that's problem solution. All right. For all of your essays, you don't necessarily need to write this down, but you need to understand from here on out, you need to have a thesis with prongs, okay? It needs to be parallel. Try to have no more than three. Group it into three big ideas, no less than two, and make sure in your claim statements that you refer back to your overall thesis, okay? So this is the structure for rhetoric. It's based off of Aristotelian structure, all right? So write this down vertically on the side of your paper. So one line for I, one line for D, one line for E, one line for A, one line for R, one line for S. If you memorize this, any timed writing in any class, you can do and get high marks on. So this is based off of Aristotelian structure. This is what Aristotle, and it's Aristotelian. You know the difference between Aristotelian and Aristotelian? You don't need to know, but Aristotelian is when something is actually done through Aristotle's works. So for example, ethos, pathos, and logos. He actually named those things. Aristotelian means he used it, but he didn't name it for himself. Okay? Write this down. Introduction, digression, explanation, another explanation, rebuttal, and summary. Once you have that written down, put your pens and pencils down so I know you're done. Okay, raise your hand if you recognize these words. I'm not going to call on you, so don't worry. You can be honest. Do you recognize, raise your hand if you recognize pathos. Fantastic, hands down. Recognize if you, or raise your hand if you recognize ethos. How about logos? That's less of you guys, okay? How about concessio? Okay, digression? Okay. Pathos equals emotion. You can write it in your notes or not. If you already know it, you don't need to write it down. Ethos establishes authority. The way that you remember it is this. It would be unethical for me as a teacher to give you medical advice. Why would it be unethical for me as a teacher to give you medical advice? Because I'm not qualified. I don't have the authority. Ethos equals authority. Okay? I don't have the authority. I don't have authority. All right? I don't have the authority to do that. Inappropriate. Okay? Logos is like it sounds. It's logic. Of these three, Aristotle said one is the strongest in persuasion. Is it pathos, ethos, or logos? Which one did he say is the strongest? You wish it was logos. Pathos. Pathos is the strongest. And I think everything that we can see about media and advertisement and the way that we respond to things, even if we are presented with logical information, proves that Aristotle's right. We are driven by our emotions. Don't write this down, just listen. When you are creating your introduction paragraph, you are pulling on the pathos. You are trying to hook your audience in, okay? So your introduction paragraph, you're going to start by telling them what's happening. What's the story behind the debate? If it's a persuasive topic, which is what Idears is based off of, if it's a persuasive topic, why are people even discussing this, okay? You're going to tell the story behind the argument. These two may be one sentence. So you may have one hook sentence for 1 and 2. But it's the most important thing that you establish your thesis not as the first sentence. Okay? Your thesis should have prongs. And then finally, you're going to clarify the importance. Why should your audience care? Kohanna, what do we write in our notes? Everything in red. Only write the red stuff. Write everything in red. Only write the red stuff. This is what I am looking at when I'm looking at your paper. Do they have a hook sentence? Does it explain the story behind the debate? Is there a 3-pronged thesis or a 2-pronged thesis? Do they clarify the importance? So pathos, pathos, logos, pathos. The intro is mainly pathos. I'm like lecturing in the dark on my camera here. That's a little bit better. Not much, but a little bit. So like I said, sentence 1 and 2 may be combined, but I think as you guys find when you're going through your research, the more stuff that you find, you may find a real difference between why are people arguing about it now versus why have people argued about this for a long time. So let me give you an example. And you know I'm always going to go back to standardized testing because it's the one thing that I definitely have a political opinion about. Clarify the situation. Student mental health is being affected currently by standardized testing in a negative way. The story behind the argument. In the 1980s, a report came out called A Nation at Risk, and in that report, it said that our schools are failing, and because our schools are failing, our nation, the United States, was at risk of having a population that could not control itself. Thesis statement. Standardized testing is necessary in schools because it helps decrease grade inflation, it helps hold teachers accountable, and ultimately, it makes sure that students are not graduating from high school being unable to read, right? 3 prongs, yes? Clarify the importance. Right now, our nation is at risk from outside foreign invaders, and therefore it is absolutely essential that our youth is able to defend it using their own minds. See how it works? Yes? Okay. Digression. This is part of the intro paragraph, okay? Give an anecdote, that's the personal story, explaining why you are an expert. Kohanna, does that mean that I use I? Yes. Always clarify with your professor or your teachers if you can use personal pronouns in an essay because sometimes it's discouraged. And this one, tell me why you're an expert. Kohanna, I'm not an expert. You are if you have an interest in this. Because remember, you're doing research for this. You don't have to say, I'm an expert because I did research for this. You can simply say something along the lines of, through writing this essay, I have found out a great deal about this particular topic. Or maybe you are an expert about it. Maybe you know a lot about your particular topic. If you're doing anything about education, you're an expert. You're far more of an expert than I am. Because you are living through this time period. I am not. Your schooling looks very, very different than my schooling. Our classes were a lot smaller to begin with. So this is the ethos. You are establishing yourself as an authority figure. Kohanna, am I really, really, really not comfortable with establishing myself as an authority? That's fine. Find a source. Find a source that you can use in here that talks about this. And by you citing that source that agrees with you, you are establishing ethos. Okay? So if I were to say that standardized testing is necessary, I could bring in the fact that, 4 sitting presidents since A Nation at Risk came out have all codified standardized testing as being necessary for the Department of Education. All right. The E, right? So introduction, digression, ID. Now we're on E. E is explanation. This is a CDW paragraph. I'll explain what that means in a minute. You're going to have a claim, some data, and some warrants. All right? Kohanim, what do I write down? Write down the stuff in red. When you've written that down, put your pens and pencils down so I know you're done. All right. Claim. That's your topic sentence. That's all. Prong 1. Standardized testing is necessary to decrease grade inflation. That's a claim. Data. Grade inflation was such a problem in the 1970s and 80s that A Nation at Risk was published and explained how a whole class, I think it was like 45 kids, graduated from a Texas high school and they were illiterate. They graduated from a Texas high school and they were illiterate. Then I would cite my source information, which would be A Nation at Risk. Okay? Warrant. This is what's going to get you. Okay? And I will tell you, because I have kids in college that come back to me and we look at their essays. Kids in college struggle with warrants. Debaters struggle with warrants. Okay? The warrant ties your claim, here's my opinion, to your data. Here is the actual expert opinion, statistics, whatever it is. Okay? Because students were graduating without the most basic skill, that is reading, clearly some outside parameters must be used to gauge whether or not they went through 12 or 13 years of education without acquiring basic skills. Warrant number 1, right? So you're going to go through and you're going to say, this shows that blank is blank, all right? You're going to supply the logic. Your CDW paragraphs, however many you have, those rely on logic. Remember I told you the way that you will lose points on this essay is if your logic starts to fall apart. Don't create holes in your logic that other people can go after. All right. A is another explanation. It's the exact same thing over again. Okay? So literally, A, another explanation. This is a CDW paragraph. Claim 2, data 2, warrant 2. Wash, rinse, and repeat. Hey, Kohanim, can I have more? Absolutely. I encourage you to have more. I'm just showing you these 2 as examples. For any timed writing you have, if you can memorize Idears, introduction, digression, explanation, another explanation, refutation, rebuttal, and then summary, you'll blow it out of the park. Somewhere where you've got the W for CDWs, where you've got the warrants, write down, it should be 2 to 3 sentences at least. Your warrants should be 2 to 3 sentences at least. R stands for refutation. That is also logos. Your refutation may be attached to your summary paragraph, and that's fine. But I will tell you, the best arguments are respectful of their opposition. Do not create a straw man. That's where you set up a weak argument and then you knock it down. That is poor argumentation. give your opposition some legitimacy, and then knock it down. You can do it. If the other side has a really great argument, I promise that all great arguments are based on assumptions. Just kick a hole in that assumption. That's all you got to do. There is no holy grail of argument. It doesn't exist. There is nothing that you can say that is an argument that has 0 holes in it. So it doesn't matter how smart they think they are, you can still find fault in their logic, even if they are experts. In fact, it is far better for your refutation or your rebuttal to have an expert opposing argument that you knock down. Summary. This is your conclusion. Remind them what you said. Remind them why they should care. The very last thing is the first thing that I look for in every paper, because it's an easy way for me to doctor points. Because I'm a mean old lady. That's why I get up in the morning. Get on my broomstick and ride to school. Cackle all the way here. You must have a call to action. Even if your call to action is something along the lines of, we have to protect our ability to access oil. If you're saying fracking is good, fine. Tell people to protect that. Again, when you guys go to college or 12th grade, I don't know if they really care in 12th grade, but when you go to college, make sure that you ask your professor, hey, is it okay if I use first-person pronouns? That's I, we, so on and so forth. And is it okay if I use second-person pronouns? You should do this and you should do that. That last sentence should be an imperative statement. It should be, you should do this. You should go vote for this. You should protest this. You should speak out about this. If you hear people talking about this, you should interject in this way. Tell someone what to do with the information that you've given them. Don't write this down, just listen. So this is an old writing situation that they used to give us for the EOCs for 11th grade. Last year, EOCs kind of got thrown out the window. This year, they're saying that they're going to stick. So it is what it is. The principal at your school has instituted random locker and backpack, book bag searches to check for guns, knives, and other weapons. Anyone caught with these weapons will be immediately suspended. The principal argues that the random searches will not only guard against illegal weapons at school, but will also help students feel safer. What is your position on this issue? Writing directions. You are writing an editorial, so it's giving you specific directions. So your audience is just going to be the principal? You're writing an editorial for the local newspaper. Is the audience just the principal? No. That's important because it's going to frame the way you make your audience. Okay? Your argument's going to be affected by your audience. You can go broader now. It's not just for the principal. In which you present your opinion on the issue, support your view with strong facts and examples. Don't write any of this down, just listen. So this is how you do it. Introduction. Clarify the situation. Pinpoint the place of controversy. There's a debate about whether privacy should be exchanged for safety. That is a pathos-based argument. Listen to that. Privacy should be exchanged for safety. Right off the bat, I'm hitting them where it hurts. Okay? Do you want to sacrifice your privacy just so you can feel a little bit safer? There should not be searches of students' belongings because it's a violation of privacy and it is a disruption of our learning environment. Okay? Paragraph 1 is going to be about what? Okay, paragraph 1 is going to be about how it's a violation of privacy. Paragraph 2 is going to be about what? Let's do the other side of the argument. These searches of students' belongings should continue because it promotes a safe environment for students and it reduces instances of banned items at school. Body paragraph 1 for the opposition is going to be about what? Promote safe environment. Body paragraph number 2, reduces instances of banned items at school. Okay, you see how it works? Clarify the importance. If these random searches are to continue, your taxpayer money, because who's my audience? My audience is the community that surrounds my school, right? Who's paying for the school? The people who live in the community around the school. Your taxpayer money would be wasted on distraction while your students are at school. Flip side of the argument. If these searches are to continue, as a parent, you can feel safer about sending your child to school. As a taxpayer, your property value will increase because the school has less crime. Write this in your notes. Always go back to the money. Go hit them. That's depressing. That's life, friend. That's life. If you want to hit them where it hurts, if you want to get into the opposition, if you want to win through your essay, always go back to the money. Any values-based debate at some point in time is going to have to confront the pragmatism. Pragmatism is the money. If I live in an area like this that is beautiful and I want it to stay beautiful, I have to make sure that my schools are staying safe and beautiful and highly rated. Why? Because the minute schools start to dip on ratings, what happens to the property values? They go down. Hit them in the money. All right, draw a line in your notes. Write this down. Ships for problem solving. So the first one that we saw, the first outline that I showed you was for just persuasive. Idears is just persuasive. It either is or it isn't. It is good or it is bad. In the debate world, it's a Lincoln Douglas debate. This is policy debate. It's harder, but it is far more interesting. And this is what will take you from a 4 on an essay to a 5. Why? Because you're not just citing what's wrong or what's right with it, you're actually giving a solution to it. This is what people who are in power want to see that you are able to do. And if I can teach you anything this year, it is how to argue effectively, so no matter what field you go into, you can have people listen to you. Because if no one listens to you, you're not going to work your way up through. All right, write this down. Do it vertically again. Significant, harm, importance, plan, and solvency. We will only go through the very beginning of this, and then I'm going to let you guys have a little brain break because you've worked hard. All right. Just listen. Then I'm going to let you write. Just listen. Significant harm. There is a big bad thing happening right now. This is usually one long paragraph. Some people find that they have to break it into 2. Okay? Important. This is why it's important. This is usually attached to one of these. Plan. Here's how I will fix it. This is the bulk of your essay. This is why my solution fixes it. Yes. So go ahead and write those down for me. Thanks for asking, Frankie. This PowerPoint will be uploaded to Kohanam Web too, but we are going to finish it next week. Remember, next week's also a late start, friends.
What time do we start at?
Yes, at 9:20. I don't think, are the buses running late or are they? No, they're running normal. Okay, so they're just gonna make you guys sit in the cafeteria or whatever. So once you have that written down, put your pens and pencils down. All right. Significant harm, big bad thing happening right now. Student mental health is on the decline in the United States. Suicide rates are up. Elementary school kids are seeing an increase in actual post-traumatic stress disorder symptoms, which is really scary. Kids are having panic attacks while they are in school. So kids' mental health is seriously on the decline. Could I find a whole bunch of research to back that argument up? Heck yeah, buddy. Important. Why is it important? These kids are inheriting our country. They are going to be the ones who are problem solving, and right now we are slowly killing them off. Plan. Here's how I plan to fix it. We need to eliminate standardized testing and homework immediately. Kids are overscheduled. They're overscheduled. They're overworked. They're overstressed. It needs to go. It's got to stop. Period. Solvency. Why does getting rid of standardized testing and homework help solve the problem of kids' mental health? You think I could make that argument? Think I could make it pretty well? Yeah, I could. Okay, do you see how it works? Big, bad, ugly thing happening. Why should my audience care? Here's how I'm going to fix it. This is why it fixes the problem. Okay? We will pick this back up on Monday. Go ahead and put your notes away, but put them where you can find them again.